Good morning, everybody. This is your host of the Endzone Club podcast, none other than Anthony Mitchell, where we have conversations that are wrapped around things we know now, we wish we knew when we were younger. And the way we have these conversations is we have them wrapped around things we know now, we wish we knew when we were younger. First of all, I want to welcome you guys in on the top of the new year. Come on, guys, let's give God a hand clap for giving us just the opportunity of, you know what, I'm going about this the wrong way. I'm kind of excited because today is the first podcast of the year in which I'm doing something different, which, as you can tell, I'm visual today. However, we will also still be streaming on all of our other platforms of iHeart, Speaker, Spotify, TuneIn, and anywhere else podcasts are displayed, we're there. But before I get into today's content, just let me do a little housekeeping. First of all, I'd like to encourage you guys to like, rate, share, subscribe to the podcast. Also in the heading, there is a link that if you will click it, and if you want to be a financial supporter, or if you like something you see today and you want to sow into that vision, maybe you want to start your new year off differently, I encourage you. Yes, I encourage you, please, do me a great big favor. Click the link, donate, and anything you do will go towards supporting one of the outreaches you see in this video today, which is why I wanted to go visual. But anyway, again, welcome back here at the Endzone Club podcast. We're a podcast that's been going about, this year will make 5 years strong. We've had a lot of great guests on this platform, from former NFL players, NBA players. We've had just professionals from various walks of life. We've had military, we've had police officers, we've had visual content creators, artists, illustrators. The list is endless. However, that has been made possible just by great listeners who listen in, who volunteered to come on the show. It's been by word of mouth, people that have connected with this platform and love what we're doing and have put in recommendations and referrals to their friends. And here we are in year 5. It has been a great opportunity. But one thing about us here at the Endzone Club podcast is everything we do on the podcast is an extension of who we are in ministry and in the community. And I think at the tail end of our last episode, I kind of just gave a brief story about on Christmas Day, my son and I, we got out and we passed out blankets to the homeless. However, with this new year coming in, I want to just kind of share just a part of my heart with your own, and just tell you just some updates of where we are, what we're planning on doing this year, and most importantly, where you guys can fit in. Can you dig it? Anyway, if this platform visual makes me a movie star, I'm telling you guys now, I will not forget you. Anyway, I will say this. Last night, my wife and I, we watched a movie called The Forge. And I'm this kind of person. Because I am busy, I am like very reluctant to watch movies that are kind of like, I don't want to say there's much fanfare surrounding the movies. But a lot of times I found out that a lot of movies that people have always just hyped up as being like, this great next big thing or whatever, or something like you gotta watch it, you can't miss it. And this goes back to like when Harry Potter was a thing. I hate to say this, I have never watched a Harry Potter movie. Lord of the Rings, I've never seen a Lord of the Rings. Of course, I watched plenty of Star Wars. I watched basically all the Marvel movies. Was not a fan of the latest Wolverine. So you're getting an idea here that just because somebody says that you have to like something or you have to watch something, that automatically you're going to get my support. However, the movie was playing, so when I come in from work, I sit down and I begin to watch it. And one of the reasons I just want to draw a little parallel from the movie is because if you haven't seen The Forge, I'm not going to spoil the movie, but centered in the heart of this story is a young guy who, like a lot of young men that I know now, and this is not a disparaging remark because we have all been there and some of us are still there, for quite frankly. But this young man is like, he's a gamer. Not saying he's a bad kid, but he's got no ambition and he's kind of aimless, right? He's being raised by a single mother. I don't know the backstory on what happened because I kind of came in after the movie started, or even if they explained where father was. But I just know from where I came in the movie, there was no father involved. With that said, this young man, being raised by his mother, he's a gamer. He doesn't have a sense of discipline. He's ambitious, he lacks ambition. He's aimless. He has no direction in life. He's just kind of living. He's gaming all night. He's hanging out. He's doing these things. And as he's getting older, I guess his mom is sensing that if maybe there's not a course correct, that this young man might head the wrong direction. So somehow the young man gets a job, and little does he know that there's a connection with the employer that has hired him and the family that he comes from. So somebody in his family apparently had mentored this guy, and it's now his job of passing down the mentorship that he got from one of his family members, the boss, and pass it down to the young man. So during the course of the movie, you see there being a sense of discipleship in which this mentor who owns the company is investing in the young man. There's a few times he's late for work. There's a few times he's dragging his feet. And every opportunity this mentor gets, he's pouring in life lessons. And I don't want to get too far into the movie, but just moving to the part I really want to talk about, which correlates with us. One of the, to me, the driving forces of the movie was, yes, this young man has a mentor, but now this mentor welcomes him into a group of other like-minded men who also have young men that they are mentoring, albeit sons or guys from the community. And as a community resource, they're all pooling their wisdom together. They're all pooling the gifts and talents that God has placed in their life. They're all pooling together to form a nucleus around these young men that basically whatever life resource they need, somebody within this community, somebody within this framework, somebody within this reality that they've created, I like to call it an ecosphere, somebody's able to give it to them. So in this group, you have some guys that coach sports, you have some guys that are financial advisors, you have some guys that are family and life counselors, you have some guys that are entrepreneurs and business owners. So it's a well-rounded group. And you can see as the movie goes on, right, you can see each of these men developing these disciplines and learning a lot about life and where they may exist in their bubble, how their life corresponds with a greater sense of community. And in the end, the young man that this mentor, who's one of the central figures in the movie, has poured into, at the end of the day, that then in turn pours back into the mentor by taking the lessons that he has learned and now saving this guy's company from going under. I'm telling you, I hate to tell the truth, but I am kind of like a sentimental being. I can see movies, and whether or not I think sometimes things happen like that in real life, which I'm sure they are. I'm not being a Debbie Downer, but the message to me was so important. It touched me just seeing that there was a scene in the movie in which the young man somehow, as he's working his job, this father that has abandoned him is working for a company, right, that services this company. They provide all like the trucking and the transport for their shipments. So as he's opening the door, there's his father standing on the other side. And he's confronted with this reality that the man that walked out on him years ago and basically has let it be known that he wants no part of his life is now one of his customers and is standing in the way of his progression. So that was, to me, a very powerful part of the story, because there are a lot of people in our society that have similar stories. Just watching that, even my own self, my relationship with my father, of course, is not where I want it to be. But for me, one of the flags that I have put in the ground is to try my best with God's help to not only be a mentor to that of my son and my daughters, and to be available in my home, to be a man of understanding, to be a man. I may not know it all, but I love you guys, and I'm going to give the best, and I'm going to follow God's instruction for raising you guys and providing my portion of the pie. as a father, because thankfully we've been blessed. My kids are being raised in a 2-parent home, and I pray by God's grace that that continues. But there's a reality that we live in, and we at the Endzone Club, we have tried to tap into this reality of providing great opportunities for those that may not have what others have, to let them know that you will not lack. And when I say I'm not lacking, as I'm talking, you're seeing either videos playing as overlays or in the background. But I want to give you guys a good idea of what we've done in the past, albeit from free NFL football camps, in which our purpose is to get mentors for those that love football, those that play football from all ages of life. We've even had young people as early or as young as like 4 or 5 years old attend our camps. And as you're seeing in the video, we're not just teaching sports. We're taking time, taking opportunity to actually pour back with words of life, wisdom, and instruction into these kids that supersede the game of sports. Also with our basketball camps, which we tend to host around this time of the year, man, we get these kids out here. Thankfully, I have younger sons than myself. I mean, even though I still have Jordan dreams, I'm on the other side of 40. My mobility is not the same. My quickness, you used to couldn't catch me in a phone booth. Now I'm slow. Now you could take a 5-pound rock and toss it and it would hit me. I'm not what I used to be. But thankfully we have younger people that are a part of our vision, that are an extension of us, that give back to the kids in the form of basketball. And at the end of every clinic, we get the kids in a huddle. We pray with them. We just reinforce some positive messaging, albeit listening to your parents, having a sense of goals, having a sense of direction, making sure you're with the right people. Things that at this age they have to keep at the forefront of their mind. And as the Bible says, give most earnest heed to the things you've heard the most, lest at any time you slip. That's the King James Version, but in now version, if we keep talking about it, maybe you're going to listen. Right? And in addition, we just, again, as I talked earlier in today's podcast, we're just coming off the front end of giving out homeless blankets. That initiative is still going on. So if you want to help support that initiative, shout out to my Element supervisor. I thank you for being a blessing to what we're doing. But you can also tap in on that. This year, something that's different, and I'll talk about the baseball camp. You guys also know, if you're avid listeners, we do a free baseball camp as well. One of the coaches that has helped with this assignment, he's a multiple state winner. He's put kids in Major League Baseball. We do that also in conjunction with Major League Baseball, Restoring Baseball in Inner City initiative. However, something that's different that we want to do this year is I want to do an artist camp. As you guys know, I see this hoodie, I designed it. This is all of my artwork on this hoodie, right? But we want to take the skills that, as an artist, that I've learned over 30 plus years of being involved in art with some of my other friends, and do a 2 or 3 day program in which we teach kids how to develop a concept, whether it's a box, a triangle, a circle, which is taking simple shapes, designs, and then from inception to fruition, we want to develop a digital piece of art from simple drawing. That's something else we have. My daughters have crochet camps they're doing, which has been pretty awesome. I can't crochet yet, but I will learn. But anyway, guys, there's a lot going on. I know I haven't covered it all, but here at our heart, we're trying to create that similar environment of mentorship that the Forge has offered. When I saw it visually, I'm like, guys, this is what we've always talked about wanting to do. So moving forward, I am looking to connect with more mentors, more supporters that are in that vein of thought here in our city that we can even expand. I would really love to do some connections in the city of Memphis, Birmingham, New Orleans, and we triangulate. But with that said, guys, I'm running short on time on this podcast. If you would like to see more of this content, I'll also include our YouTube link. This video will be on YouTube, and we'll have maybe even just a little more content on our YouTube page than we have here at the podcast. So guys, with that being said, I thank you for joining us on this journey. I'm going to stop this timer, and I may just talk with you guys a little more. All right. But one of the benefits of being on YouTube, that's awesome. I have my timer going. But one of the benefits of being on YouTube, one of the benefits of being visual is it allows me just a chance to show you guys in detail what we're doing. So, hey, hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's content. We have links in below. We have links to our website, which you will also see in our bio, which I think is important. I don't like to be a person that talks all this great game about what we're doing, because if you know me in real life, you know I'm a person. I love to laugh. I love to troll. I love to keep debate going. I love to engage people in conversations and help them to see some other side. So if you're a Democrat, I'm going to come to you with Republican views. If you're Republican, I'm going to come to you with Democrat views. If you're in the middle, independent, such as myself, I'm going to pat you on the back and tell you that barbecue shouldn't be boiled, right? So that's just the kind of person I am. I love just dialoguing. I love for there not to just be that sense of divide, but if I can get you thinking and present facts. However, one fact that remains that to me supersedes any sense of political affiliation is we do live in this realm that whoever's president does not sometimes affect your day-to-day life. If you're a young man that's lacking mentorship, if you're lacking somebody looking you in the eye and speaking positively into your destiny, if you're not that young lady that's had somebody teaching you the value of who you are mentally, physically, spiritually, and letting you know that you don't have to be a status quo. These are things that exist in any climate, regardless of who is president. So our niche is connecting with just the heart of whoever we can connect with and saying, hey, we are here for you. However, everything we've done has been community driven. I often get asked the question, how do you do this? And it has all been done by crowdfunding and community support. So when you see this NFL football camp, and you see these guys coming in from Atlanta in these videos, I'm just giving you a little backdrop, and they're here multiple days. They have to eat, they have to drive. Even that initiative, what we help sow into that ministry goes back to providing free coats for the less fortunate in Atlanta. So this is not even a money grab for guys that used to play. It goes towards positive things. What we do basketball camp, 100% has been donated and sponsored by even guys that I work with that have donated boxes of Gatorade. There are guys that I work with that have asked, hey, do you need basketballs? Do you need bags? What do you need? Or maybe there have been phone calls that have been made, that connections have been provided, that coaches have shown up. And then other kids or parents that have loved the football camp, but maybe kids aren't into basketball, they've gotten their friends involved on the basketball front. So there's been a lot of hand washing hand. And sometimes I like that when people bring resources to the table, because anytime you're dealing with money, everybody always has questions. Even with the blankets that we just passed out, that was made possible by two of my church members that came bearing gifts of blankets. When you come from areas like I come from and you've seen the good and the bad, I didn't grow up in the hood per se. I was an Army brat. So I've seen various walks of life. I've lived in various places. I've lived here in America and I've lived overseas. So that's what has helped shape my narrative. However, I have been around a lot of situations that were less fortunate, and sometimes just trying to tap into the heart of God, which God was a giver. We know that we just celebrated Christmas, which was marked by this reality that he gave his only begotten son because mankind as a whole had incurred a debt through sin that we have seen plague our walls of just humanity and civilization all through time. I mean, you can turn, just yesterday, there was an unfortunate event in the city of New Orleans. Have not myself got a chance to check into it, but because it's very close to home, it's already touching. I mean, we're only 2 days into the year and we've already had catastrophe. When I see these things going on, it just bears weight that we have to be here for people. We have to check on people's mental health states. We have to provide outlets instead of talking reactively about bad things that happen in our community. We're trying to be proactive and trying to at least plant the seed and say, hey, we've done the work. Because one thing we do realize is that maybe not in the day we plant the seed, but at some point the tree will grow. Now, where some individuals are, where some kids are, at some point, some of them will get it immediately, we've seen immediate turnaround. We've seen some kids that have taken this understanding that they've gotten since being connected with us, and you see them getting disciplined enough in school that they're starting to pull their grades up. You start seeing them hanging maybe with some new people, maybe getting an extracurricular activity after school, something going on, maybe join an organization, DECA, HOSA, FBLA, Skills USA, one of those, right? And going into college. Then we've seen some kids that have made bad decisions. Maybe they still ended up in jail, but they remembered this teaching and they came out with reformed life change. We can't make anybody do anything. We can just provide the outlet. And that's one thing I have been blessed that the ears of listeners for over my own personal ministry began over 20 years ago, just working in youth ministry. And then from there, just worked up to working with humanity homes, Big Brother, Big Sister, done some stuff with Blue Cross. Then from there became a youth pastor in 2008 in the city of Birmingham, which predominantly functioned within the realms of executive outreach, just building platforms to take a lot of my inner city kids out of the inner city and expose them to more, or to bring more to the inner city. I mean, there's got to be exchange, right? You can't always take all of the bright minds out of bad communities and expect bad communities to change. Sometimes you have to reach back in those communities and pour back so that it can be better, which is another conversation. Not talking gentrification, but it's another conversation we really have to have. And then just from there, started providing back to school events, which we were giving out school supplies, which I do want to get back more into doing that. When I first moved to Tupelo in 2012 and hosted our first back to school drive, at that time, really nobody was doing that. So man, we were having 300 or 400 people showing up to a back to school event, and it was bananas. Just the support we've got. Matter of fact, some of you that still donate this platform monthly were a part of that, and that's over 12 years ago now. You guys are still supporting. So we've just continued to grow. And one thing we do is I don't like to get set in stone. Like this is all my ministry is. I'm just going to do football camps, because truth be told, this is probably the last year I'm going to do a football camp. I'm like water. I like being free flowing. If I see there being needs in the community that aren't met, then sometimes I pray to God for a creative idea, or I'm just after it. And I'm sorry, as I get stimulated, sometimes I stutter. But I like to pray to God for just an ability to address a need that I see. So with the uptick we're seeing in my city of gun violence and things, prayed to be a part of something, and I did get an opportunity to speak on that event, or in the vein of, just in the vein of gun violence. And I'm sure God will provide more opportunity. There are some other things we see we would love to be a part of that maybe won't even take as much time, because one thing about putting together camps and clinics and even youth ministry, it takes a lot of time planning and putting things together. And then one challenge we have had is that at some events we have more volunteers than others. Sometimes we've had gigantic events, and it's just my wife and I to set everything up, tear everything down. And I tell you, as much of a labor of love as it is, just to be able to provide these events, as we get older, it's getting a little harder. So it's just gotten to a point with us, and I'm just being honest starting the year, because I like to take the vision God has given, make it plain. But as this year has progressed, or as we've progressed in years, and we've gotten, as you can tell, I'm overstimulated. There's a lot going on right now, but it has become a lot. So we're always trying to just ebb and flow. I mean, we used to do career and job fairs. A lot of the jobs that our city has to offer for people within a certain age group and skill set, we're very heavy in the factory segment. So a lot of the young people weren't really wanting to work in some kind of factory. We are in a furniture market or furniture making market. So that wasn't as advantageous to the crowd we were trying to super serve with opportunity. but maybe we'll start going back into some other things in that realm as well. But whatever the needs of the city are, we are trying to be here to address it, try to be a part of it, most importantly, because I don't think one person houses all of the answers for everything. However, just as a concerned citizen, I know we're thinking answers come from Capitol Hill and the White House, but a lot of changes that communities need come from entry-level, base point expressions. So wherever you are in your walk of life, you can make an impact in your community. It's not about supporting us. Support somebody. If it's your local ministry, if they have a food drive, if they have something for the homeless, if maybe you guys have an initiative that you help pay bills for single mothers or provide clothing for underage children, or maybe you provide shelter, whatever that outlet is, get behind it. Statistically, even in churches, it's being said that 90% of the work is being done by 10% of the people. I have a problem with that because I know a lot of people around New Year's and holidays that will run the churches and ask for help and support in places they've never donated. I also don't think that's fair. I think that life affords us the opportunity of what we give out, we get back. We've called that the golden rule for how long? However, if you're never giving anything back, how can you expect to get something in return? So I like to treat life as a reservoir. I want to pour jobs into it. I want to pour creative ideas into it. I want to pour good wealth, good health, good thoughts. I want right actions. Want to be a blessing, want to be available. I want to get that all in this reservoir because at some point I'm going to need encouragement. At some point I may want a new job. At some point I may want a new car. That's just how this works, guys. You plant tomatoes, you get tomatoes. If you plant gimme, you're going to have everything in your life with its hand out, scratching, asking you for something in return. So guys, I just wanted to just get on here and try this visual content out, but also just wanted to be able to pour out our hearts, give you guys a visual, because you hear me talk about it every week on the online section where we're streaming for all these platforms about all the great stuff we're doing. But sometimes if you can't see it, you won't know that it's real. That's my major pain points. But anyway, guys, this is the end of the visual section of the Endzone Club podcast. Love you guys.